Hello rockers and music lovers. Welcome to this video where we're about to reveal a secret that will blow your mind. Some of the most iconic rock songs on the planet are actually covers. That's right, today we're bringing you 10 famous rock songs you didn't know had a different origin. From anthems that defined generations to classics that are a must in every playlist, these tracks hold fascinating stories that began long before the versions we all sing along to. We'll dive into who originally created them, how they ended up in the hands of rock legends, and what made them legendary. Turn up the volume, get ready for an epic journey through rock history, and don't go anywhere. Let's kick things off with number 10. Hey Joe, Jimi Hendrix.
Hey Joe, where you going?
We start with a psychedelic explosion, Hey Joe, by Jimi Hendrix. Released in 1966 as his debut single, this song is Hendrix at his purest. Electrifying guitar, hypnotic vocals, and a dark story of love and revenge. But he didn't write it. Its origin lies with Billy Roberts, a folk musician from California who composed it in the early 60s.
Hey Joe, where you going with your money in your hand?
Roberts performed it in Greenwich Village bars with a slower, more narrative folk style. Then bands like The Leaves recorded it in 1965 with a garage rock feel. But it was Hendrix who took it to the next level. Inspired by these versions, he recorded his own in London with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, adding spine-tingling solos. Thus, a folk ballad turned into an immortal rock classic. 9. Red Red Wine. UB40. Next, we have a laid-back anthem, Red Red Wine, by UB40. This 1983 hit from the album Labor of Love blends reggae and pop with a groove that makes you sway. But it's not originally theirs. It was written by Neil Diamond, the famous American singer-songwriter, who recorded it in 1967.
Red wine.
His version was a folk pop ballad with a nostalgic tone, telling the story of getting over a breakup with red wine. Diamond released it on his album Just For You, but it wasn't a big hit at the time. UB40 discovered it years later, thinking it was a traditional Jamaican reggae song. From the 60s, they gave it a full Caribbean twist, adding keyboards and a relaxed flow, propelling it to #1 worldwide, a cover that completely reinvented the song. 8. Higher Ground, Red Hot Chili Peppers. We crank up the funk with Higher Ground by Red Hot Chili Peppers. This 1989 track from the album Mother's Milk is an explosive mix of rock and funk, featuring Flea's slap bass and Anthony Kiedis's wild vocals. But its roots lie with Stevie Wonder, who wrote and recorded it in 1973 for Innervisions. Wonder created this song as a soul-funk anthem with a message of hope and spirituality, using groundbreaking synthesizers for its time. Inspired by his faith and the social turmoil of the 70s, he released it as a successful single. The Chili Peppers took it, sped up the tempo, added raw guitars, and infused it with their signature chaotic energy, turning it into a hit that put them on the map. Stevie Wonder enthusiastically approved of this reinvention. 7. The Man Who Sold the World, Nirvana. We enter the grunge era with The Man Who Sold the World by Nirvana. This classic from their MTV Unplugged performance in 1993 is pure raw emotion, featuring Kurt Cobain's melancholic voice and a haunting acoustic arrangement. But it's not theirs. The original was written by David Bowie in 1970 for his album of the same name. Bowie created it during his glam rock phase, inspired by science fiction and themes of identity, with a theatrical sound and a distinctive guitar riff. It was a modest hit at the time. Nirvana stripped it down, giving it a heart-wrenching simplicity that resonated deeply in the 90s. Bowie said he loved this version, though many younger fans mistakenly thought it was a Cobain original, a cover that bridged generations. 6. I Wanna Be Your Man. The Rolling Stones now On to an early rock classic, I Wanna Be Your Man by the Rolling Stones. Released in 1963 as a single, this song has the rebellious energy and edge that defined the Stones in their early years. But it wasn't written by Mick Jagger or Keith Richards. It was actually a gift from John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who wrote it in 1963 for the Beatles.
I wanna be your lover, baby. I wanna be your man.
They first recorded it with Ringo Starr on vocals for With the Beatles, in a lighter pop style. The Stones heard it during a casual session, asked to borrow it, and transformed it into a dirtier, grittier rock version. Lennon and McCartney finished writing it in minutes right in front of them, showcasing their genius. It's a rare crossover between two rock titans. 5. Dazed and Confused. Led Zeppelin halfway through, and here comes a giant, Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin. This 1969 track from their debut album is a psychedelic journey, featuring Jimmy Page's bow solo and Robert Plant's ethereal vocals. But it's not entirely original. It was written by Jake Holmes, a folk singer-songwriter, in 1967 for his album The Above Ground Sound.
I'm dazed and confused. Is it stay, is it go?
Holmes performed it live as a dark, minimalist piece inspired by heartbreak and confusion. Page heard it when Holmes opened for the Yardbirds and adapted it for Zeppelin, adding heavy riffs and epic intensity. Holmes didn't initially receive credit, but his folk seed gave birth to this rock monster. 4. Twist and Shout, the Beatles' time for Beatlemania. Twist and Shout by the Beatles, released in 1963, is pure rock and roll energy. John Lennon's raspy vocals and the frenetic rhythm make it eternal. But it's not theirs. It was written by Phil Medley and Burt Burns in 1961 for the Top Notes. An R&B group that recorded it with a more rigid style. It didn't make much of an impact until the Isley Brothers reworked it in 1962, giving it a soulful twist and an irresistible groove. The Beatles, fans of the Isleys, took it for Please Please Me, cranked up the energy to the limit, and turned it into a generational anthem. Lennon almost lost his voice recording it, but he created an unforgettable classic. 3. Whiskey in the Jar, Metallica Metal on the Attack. Whiskey in the Jar by Metallica from their 1998 Garage Inc.'s album is a thrash anthem powered by James Hetfield's raw energy. But its origins are ancient. It's a traditional Irish song from the 17th century about a betrayed outlaw, sung for generations in pubs. Thin Lizzy adapted it into rock in 1972, adding melodic arrangements and guitar solos that made it a hit. Metallica built on that version, injecting distortion and speed, transforming it into a heavy metal beast. The band recorded it as a tribute to their influences, and the result is so unique that many forget its folk roots. From Ireland to the mosh pit. 2. Knockin' on Heaven's Door, Guns N' Roses. Crank up the volume for Knockin' on Heaven's Door by Guns N' Roses. This 1991 classic from Use Your Illusion carries Axl Rose's passion and Slash's epic solos. But it's not theirs. It was written by Bob Dylan in 1973 for the Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid soundtrack.
Mama, take this badge off of me.
Dylan created it as a folk country ballad with lyrics about mortality and a serene tone, recorded on a ranch in Mexico. It was a quiet hit at the time. Guns N' Roses electrified it, adding dramatic choruses and a hard rock sound that turned it into a 90s anthem. 2 worlds, one eternal classic. 1. Got My Mind Set on You, George Harrison.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on.
From his 1987 album Cloud 9 is an addictive pop rock hit infused with Harrison's warmth. But it's not original. It was written by Rudy Clark, and first recorded by James Ray in 1962 as an R&B track. Ray, a soul singer from New York, gave it a raw and emotional vibe, but he passed away young, and the song faded into obscurity. Harrison rediscovered it years later, gave it a fresh, uplifting twist with Jeff Lynne's production, and took it to the top of the charts, a cover that resurrected a forgotten gem and made it shine. And there you have it, rockers. 10 rock songs you didn't know were covers, each with a history that stretches from forgotten folk ballads and dimly lit pubs to soul anthems reborn through electrifying riffs. We've traveled through decades and genres, from the streets of Greenwich Village to the world's biggest stages, uncovering how these legends took existing songs and made them their own, with stunning creativity. Which one surprised you the most? Do you have a favorite cover that we missed? Drop it in the comments below, give this video a big like if this musical journey blew your mind, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that reveals rock's hidden secrets. Music is a cycle of inspiration, and these songs are living proof of that. See you in the next video. Keep the volume up and keep rocking.